Alright, Dragon Ball fans. Now, once again, one of my favorite kind of videos to do outside of Tyler Perry stuff on this channel is to talk about other franchises that I enjoy watching, playing video games about, and collecting the cards every now and then. Dragon Ball. Now, given the fact that the upcoming Broly movie is going to be releasing, what is it, in December, I believe the United States will get it in what, December or January? I can't remember. I know it's coming soon. I mean, it'll be here before you know it. But basically, you know, the discussion was coming up, and I was talking with a friend of mine about, you know, the Tournament of Power, since in the English dub, they finally have gotten to the Zen exhibition matches where it's the Universe 7 team fighting against the trio, the Danger. I believe it's Majin Buu, Gohan, and Goku versus Basil, Lavender, and Bergamo. Yeah. And yeah, we were talking about, you know, the Tournament of Power because obviously we watched the Japanese version and enjoyed it a lot. So hopefully the English dub. And one thing about the English dub I'll give credit to, a lot of the dialogue, the in jokes and whatnot, they make some of the most boring episodes a blast to watch. And hopefully with the Tournament of Power, they can do that. Trust me, there were some stinkers within that bunch of episodes, but you know, the time will come and time will tell the tale. But we were talking about Frieza and the fact that we loved the you know, the way he was portrayed in the Tournament of Power compared to the less than stellar Frieza we got in Resurrection F. And none of my friends actually have watched the Super Dragon Ball Heroes animated promotional episodes, if you will, for Super Dragon Ball Heroes, so they don't know about Golden Cooler or Cumber, Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, Kaioken, and what have you. And we were talking about, you know, how we wish King Cold would have been brought back during Resurrection F. I believe Sorbet was about to use the second wish on King Cold because Shenron let him know that you can get more than one wish. I believe in the anime it was 3 because Frieza was brought back, Shu wished for 1,000,000 Zenny, and Mai wished for ice cream, the world's best tasting ice cream, which Shenron actually was kind enough to put it in like a container to prevent it from melting. But then in the movie it was only 2 wishes, where the first one was on Frieza, the second one was Shu once again wishing for 1,000,000 Zenny. But the question did remain, you know, why wasn't King Cold brought back? And then he even told Frieza, like, well, Lord Frieza, we wanted to bring your father back with the second wish. Or also bring your father back. And he was like, oh no, I'm sorry, I can't do really good Frieza, but basically he always thought his father was so self-important and whatnot that it was unnecessary to bring him back. I mean, if anything, I just think that it was an underlying kind of resentment towards his father, because one could probably assume that King Cold was, well, a parent and pretty much in Frieza's eyes kept him from doing exactly what he wanted. And we kind of got this vibe back during the Android Cell arc. I mean, if you want to call it the Trunks arc, you can. It was so short, it doesn't even matter in terms of what you call it. But Frieza was resurrected or brought back to life via Mecha Frieza form. And as soon as he woke up, it wasn't a matter of him learning to get used to his new body. He wanted to go straight to Earth to get revenge. And, you know, his father was like, why don't we just blow up this pathetic little mud ball from space? Why bother going to the surface? And if they would have done that, I mean, that would have saved them a lot of trouble when you think about it. I mean, one could argue that Goku could have used instant transmission to stop King Cold and Frieza from blowing up the Earth. I mean, maybe they would have pulled a Bardock, the father of Goku, where, you know, they opened the door of the ship so Frieza and or King Cold would be outside of the ship, then charge up like a giant death ball or something and toss it at the planet. But then Goku would intercept, but then that would bring about the whole argument as to whether or not Goku can survive in space, yada yada yada. But I mean, it would have been a possibility. Do you think that he would have been able to take down both King Cold and Mecha Frieza? technically he did in Future Trunks' timeline, and that's one of those rare scenes that I wish they would have animated, like they would have a flashback or even like a special episode or whatever showcasing the events of how Goku was able to stop Frieza and King Cold in Future Trunks' timeline, because remember, that's how it went down, which is kind of interesting because Trunks said that he was stepping in because nobody else was able to, and then Goku brought up the fact that he knew instant transmission. So if in Future Trunks' timeline, if all the Z fighters and maybe Bulma came to the scene as well, just like they did in the present, and, you know, Frieza and King Cold touched down, but before, like, you know, Frieza and King Cold could act, Goku used instant transmission to defeat the both of them, wouldn't Bulma have told Trunks about that? Plot, I don't know, whatever, I'm getting confused here. But basically, the topic of this video, and I'm sorry for the long introduction, but I just wanted to set it up here, is could King Cold gain a power similar to that of Golden Frieza? That's an interesting question. I mean, let's not even get into the long debate. Well, not even the debate, but the unanswered question of, was King Cold in his second form? Can King Cold transform more than, well, transform just like Frieza? Not really counting Cooler in this discussion due to the fact that he's still non-canon. So is Golden Cooler, because that's the Dragon Ball Heroes universe is like its own separate thing. So let's not even try to add that to the equation. I might reference it, but don't take that as in terms of like full evidence. With Golden Frieza, I mean, he was said to be a prodigy, never trained a day in his life. And after only 4 months of training with Tagoma, pretty much using him as a punching bag, he was able to achieve this new power. And in terms of Golden Frieza, I believe it was made reference to Frieza himself that he said, yeah, I picked this color, and he chose the gold color, hence Golden Frieza, in a way to mock the Super Saiyan transformation with the golden hair. And I believe it was mentioned in an article that Toriyama made Frieza gold in that particular form because he was unable to make Frieza's form any simpler than it already was. So he decided just to alter the color, making it gold because it felt like that was he felt like that was the strongest, and because he associated with gold medals. That actually does make sense. But I mean, yeah, Golden Frieza, I actually like it. It's pretty damn cool. I mean, when you think about it. And I mean, when you think about the simplicity of just changing the color palette, that kind of mocks Super Saiyan Blue, which is just a palette swap of Super Saiyan itself. So it makes sense. I guess you could say that Frieza has more of a distinction in terms of change, because I do believe his skin color, well, at least on certain parts of his body, like his feet, hands, and face are purple, while the rest of his body is like gold. You know, obviously like the legs and arm are more of a shinier or different color gold than his chest, tail, you know, I guess you could say anklets, if you will, armbands, and his head being like a different color gold. But I feel like when it comes down to King Cold, I would like it if he had a different color, if he could achieve such a transformation. Apparently, like, King Cold and Frieza are like the strongest of their race, or clan, if you will. And, you know, it was stated like, you know, Frieza was more powerful than King Cold in some respects. You know, like, I believe like Tien was saying that he could sense a big power on the ship. You know, one is Frieza, but then there's another power very similar to it. And then the argument goes into, you know, whether or not King Cold could achieve such power. This is one of the reasons I wish King Cold was brought back in Resurrection F, because I'm pretty sure like King Cold may have been the voice of reason, just like Tagoma was in the movie or in the anime as well, saying that, you know, why think about revenge? Why not try to rebuild your empire? And I could definitely see King Cold being in that role, but that wouldn't stop Frieza from training, because I'm pretty sure Sorbet would mention that, you know, the Super Saiyan and whatnot, and, you know, pretty much all the, you know, beings you fought on Namek have grown quite stronger over the years by a huge amount. And I'm pretty sure like even King Cold wouldn't accept that their race, which used to rule most of the galaxy, is now outclassed by some monkeys. So I would say that if Frieza were to train, So with King Cold to an extent, I could definitely see that happening. And by extension, we would learn more about King Cold himself, further transformations, if he too could reach a ultimate power like Golden Frieza did. But Golden King Cold, once again, I feel like it should be a different color, especially with him being the king. I mean, when you think about like the record industry, it's like, you know, gold record, then it's like, what is it? Platinum, then it's like double platinum and whatnot. I would actually like to see a Platinum King Cold. I know that's kind of a weird name, but Platinum Cold and Golden Frieza. And then when you think about Golden Cooler, I mean, for a marketing standpoint, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's like if one brother could do it, why not the other brother? But when you think about like Cooler being, well, cooler than his brother, you think about in his first movie, Cooler's Revenge, where he gets a fifth form, which looks so badass. You know, like the form we saw him in for most of the film was very similar to Frieza's true form or fourth form or final form, whatever you want to call it. But then his brother took it one step further with that transformation. And when you think about it, I believe that Cooler's fourth form, or the form we saw him in for most of the movie, his skin tone was very similar to Golden Frieza in terms of his face and whatnot being purple. Very similar to his brother in the Golden Frieza form. But then in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, we have Golden Cooler, who looks pretty badass. I mean, it's final form Cooler, but with a gold palette. Very cool. But with King Cold, I think they should definitely flip the script and give him a different color just to make him stand out. I mean, especially with the fact that if King Cold were to come back, he would most likely, you know, be given another power-up or transformation. And since it's something that as fans we've been curious about and some have been wanting for such a long time, why not give him a distinctive color to make him different from Frieza and by the extension of Super Dragon Ball Heroes, his oldest son? So why not give him something like a platinum or something like that? That's what I would be going for. But then the question would arise, okay, if King Cold was given such a transformation or power up, wherever you want to call it, how would he rank within, you know, Dragon Ball Super in terms of power scaling? I would say that, I mean, if Frieza could do it, why not his father? I mean, trust and believe, like, you know, I mean, prodigy obviously means like that's a huge power boost by birthright, if you will, that he just never tapped into. I mean, it makes sense that King Cold himself was also a being who never really trained, who were just strong for the sake of being strong. And being king, he probably just lounged around on his ship and didn't do much training. But he was just so powerful that it didn't seem like a requirement. And I really don't want to go into the Dragon Ball Super logic of, oh, wow, I mean, if you are just a brawler, like a very strong person, that even if you fought someone who was dimensions weaker than you are, like, I mean, in the manga we had Roshi dodging Jiren, who was oppressed, and then I believe that was kind of like a throwback to the scene in the anime where we had a post Ultra Instinct Goku after his bout with Jiren, who was obviously still in recovery because he was so weak from lack of energy and whatnot, Goku, against a Super Saiyan 2 Caulifla, who said that she finally got her power back thanks to Kaba, you know, helping her buy time. But Goku was holding his own and pretty much getting the best of her with like techniques like the after image, the dragon throw and stuff like that. But then Roshi said that, oh, well, it's because, you know, I think Whis even chimed in as well. I think Whis said that, oh, no, Goku's just using his innate martial arts, you know, experience to outdo the brawler Kefla, who was learning as she fought. But that doesn't make a lot of sense because, you know, Kefla was said to be, yeah, Super Saiyan 2 Kefla is way stronger than this weakened base Goku, but Goku is like pretty much making a fool out of her. But no, because he's an experienced martial artist, he was able to hold his own, yada yada yada. But then you compare that to Dragon Ball Z, where, I mean, Goku, being a martial arts master at that point, was being, you know, pretty much tossed around with ease and literally being picked apart by Final Form Frieza, who supposedly never trained a day in his life. But whatever. I mean, tomato, tomato. I can't even make sense of that. But I could definitely see that King Cold is probably a being who didn't do much of any training at all during his reign. And, you know, that's how I feel that Frieza definitely has a one-up on his father with just that alone, not only from training in order to achieve the golden form, but also being in hell, learning about mental mental image training and key control. And that's one of the best parts. I mean, I think I like that power up by Frieza more than his 4 months of alleged training and he got to God level all of a sudden. The fact that that was one of Frieza's handicaps, the fact that he would let his temper get the best of him, that he would just exert his full power but not have a true understanding or control over it. It's like, hey, if I can torture my enemy, that's enough for me. But then that comes back to haunt him because he doesn't know how to fully utilize it. And can you imagine what Mecha Frieza would have been like had he had trained before going to Earth? So I feel like Golden King Cold, or the new version of King Cold if you were to come back, I feel like that would be very interesting. I think it would show a different side of Frieza, for one, for him to actually take the time to help out his father, you know, to be a teacher, if you will, to actually help him unlock that new form. I mean, technically he was teaching Frost, but then he betrayed him, and he was giving tips to like Gohan during the Tournament of Power as well. But I feel like it will definitely give a new dynamic, you know, a father and son duo between Frieza and King Cold. That would be pretty damn cool. I mean, we've already had Gohan and Goku, Trunks and Vegeta, so why not, you know, spread the love to Frieza's race with some Frieza and King Cold bonding there. I think that would be pretty cool. Not to mention, you know, being of the same race and whatnot, who knows what kind of dual techniques they could be using if they train together. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I know this video is a bit longer than I expected, but I think like King Cold is one of the most underwhelming characters due to the fact that he had so little screen time. He was killed off so quickly, but at the same time, he's one of the most intriguing characters because there's so much we don't know about him. I mean, in the upcoming Dragon Ball Broly movie, I do believe that Frieza does have some new members of his army who, I believe one of them, and forgive me for not remembering the name, but he was in the employ of King Cold as well. So he's been in the Empire for quite some time. Maybe we'll get some flashbacks, you know, where or even some exposition or backstory where he'll be talking about King Cold. Maybe we'll have flashbacks where we'll see a younger King Cold in perhaps a different form. Who knows? But I feel like the possibilities are endless. It's not always about introducing new characters for the sake of, oh, we need to sell merchandise and toys. But I mean, we know that's what it's about. But you can bring back older characters, not just for fan service, but sometimes you can bring back Future Trunks, for example, but you can bring back some older characters who really still have story that hasn't been fleshed out yet. Like, I would love to learn more about King Cold, Frieza and King Cold's people, how they came into power, the other planets under their employ. There are so many things that you know, they could be doing with the Dragon Ball franchise. King Cold is definitely one of them. I mean, Dabura is another one. I mean, not counting, you know, the Demon Realm and whatnot in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, but just exploring the lore of these characters. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think that a Golden King Cold is possible? Do you feel like me that if he were to return and get a power up or new transformation, should it be something that's possibly a different color just to spice things up? I mean, think of it this way. You have Mecha Frieza who looked like he was made of spare parts found in a garage, but then you had Metacooler. Yeah, I thought it was Metacooler, but Metacooler, who pretty much looked like the state of the art. I always thought of it as a kid, like, you know, Mecha Frieza was kind of like the broken down mini fridge you would have in college, but then Metacooler was like the sleek new state of the line, you know, state of the art chrome handle refrigerator you would buy once you graduate and got a job and whatnot. So why not give the king himself a different color? So if you like this kind of video, subscribe, let me know in the comment section your thoughts, and if you want me to do more anime related videos on this channel, best believe I will be more than happy to do so, because don't get me wrong, Tyler Perry, I love that stuff, but at the same time, I grew up watching Power Rangers, Pokemon, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Disney, just like so many of you all. So what do you think about King Cold being brought back? Do you think it's a possibility? All I'm saying is this much: if they can bring back King Vegeta and Super Dragon Ball Heroes, if they can bring back Bardock so many times, the episode of Bardock, Dragon Ball minus Dragon Ball Heroes, where he's like or Dragon Ball Online, where he's the mass Saiyan. He was given like every freaking Super Saiyan form up to this point. I think the only one he hasn't gotten outside of like the God transformations is Super Saiyan 4, but it would not surprise me if he gets that at some point. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you all soon.